Hello everyone, Vicki Achard here with Nature's Best Art. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to be painting baby girl booties and we'll be using a light box, watercolor paints, and watercolor pencils. I used the light box because I had two separate photos, one of the booties and one of the blanket. I made the mistake of drawing the blanket first, so I drew the booties separately and then used the light box with the blanket behind the booties so I could trace the blanket around the booties. It saved me from drawing my blanket completely from scratch and starting completely over. So I'm showing you here how I drew the booties, and I'm tracing it onto my Strathmore watercolor card, cold press, 140 pound. I had already traced my blanket onto the watercolor card and didn't want to show you that just so the video wouldn't get too long. And I look under my transfer paper at times just to make sure I'm picking up all those marks I wanted to trace. So my colors are orange, white, and pyrol red, a mix of those three to make that real pretty peach color. And for the lime green, I use green gold and hooker's green. And I have in there in my painting burnt sienna and Payne's gray. And later you'll see that I use burnt umber. So I start by wetting my paper, and that's actually was on a couch, the booties and the blanket. And I'm just putting my first wash in. And I started to put my water on the blanket. So I'm going to put a wash on that too. But then I dry my couch color there, just so that the paint doesn't run into those colors on the blanket. Those booties in the blanket, they were given to my daughter when she had her twins, and she had a girl and one was a boy, and this one was for the girl. And I start to put the shadows there. This is knitted around the stitching, you know, make it look like the stitches. And I dry it, but then I thought, well, I'm going to paint the booties first before I put the stitches. So you'll see me going in, and I'm going to be painting the booties before I put those shadows around any more stitches. I put the water first. I'm using a number 8 round. I'm actually going to see my twin grandchildren tomorrow. I'm really excited about that. We're going to have a nice morning, I think. Going out to lunch and doing a little shopping with them. It's always fun to get together with them. And they're about two and a half. They're 2.5, and they're talking like, you know, oh my. It's just a lot of fun. I wanted to keep them pretty light. Now here I'm going in with my Kleenex to create a little texture on the booties. So that would be more interesting than just all, you know, one color completely. And drying the booty. I'm going back and putting my second wash on that couch area, and I'm going in only in one direction. I didn't want to really have a lot of variation right at first on that second wash there. Putting the texture on here and there. Now I'm putting the shadows using a little darker color of that peach, and putting the shadows that I saw on the photograph of these booties. And you'll see that I go over these lines a lot during this painting because, you know, it was stitching. I wanted to get that look of the stitching, and I'm showing you my Payne's Gray. And Payne's Gray is a really great color. You need to use a lot of water to make it light like that. If you don't, it'll look black. And now I'm showing you my watercolor pencils, using those colors for the peach area there, because I wanted to make show a lot of detail in this drawing, particularly around the blanket where the stitches were, and around the booties there. And I thought I could pick up that detail with my Derwent watercolor pencils. I have a tin of 72 of them, and I really love to use them for this. But I don't use them if I'm unless they're LightFast on my fine art. You got to watch the LightFast ratings on the Derwent pencils. And now this is going to be we're going to make prints of this card, so I wasn't, you know, that particular and if they were that LightFast or not. But if you do fine art with your Derwent watercolor pencils, you got to watch that. Otherwise, you know, if it's not LightFast, you know, you have your chances of your painting, your fine art painting, fading at a faster time. So, and you know, the different colors are different numbers. You just have to look. Now I'm painting the bottom part of the booties and those bows. I wanted to put in lime because the blanket also had lime, and the booties, actually the photograph of the booties on the bottom part of the booties and the bows, it was actually white, but I wanted to paint that lime same. I thought that would be pretty to draw that color from the blanket, you know, same color as the blanket was. Excuse me. Putting the shadows on the booty there. Now later I show you a picture of my desk because I want to show you my ceramic palette that I was using. Oh, now here I'm putting burnt umber on. I thought that putting darker color would actually make that blanket stand out a little bit more. But now this ceramic palette is really nice because it doesn't stain at all. And my colors, my pencil colors, were grass green and May green, the Derwent watercolor. Then I go in and put some detail around those bows. And also the stitching around the blanket. Those bows, because you know it was yarn, it was really twirly, so I tried to make them as twirly as I could. And then you go in after you put your pencil with your watercolor brush to draw that color out some more. You see me reaching over. What I'm doing is I'm sharpening my pencils in my pencil sharpener. So when you see a picture of my desk later, you'll see my pencil sharpener and the palette that I used. Going in, putting some more of that stitching in it as much as I could, because after all it was knitted. I wanted to make that look a little bit. I didn't want to be too fussy. Now there I'm going in. I thought that I could have fixed that a little bit better there, so I just picked up my paint and drew some more color in there, and that looked better to me. Putting another layer, another wash on that peach color I made, and I really like that a lot better. Putting highlights on the couch. Didn't want to make it completely all the same color there. Thought that would be more interesting, give a little bit interest. And putting the shadows on the stitching again. Like I said, you see me going back several times to create that look of the stitching. I liked it. I thought it looked pretty nice, and so I signed my name. Started with the pencil, the watercolor pencil, but then also went over it with some just a regular number 2 pencil. Took my masking tape off, and I thought I was done. And when I started to think about it, I thought, you know, this needs more stitching. So I go back in again, and with my watercolor pencils, put lots of marks on all the green that I can. And then I use my other peachy colors and put lots of marks on those booties. And also the blanket. And I finally got, there it is. You can see the stitching. There's my desk after I'm done. Kind of messy. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And I'm clapping because I'm so happy I got those stitches, the look of the stitches there. Happy creating.